morning, beloveds. It is Sunday, and I'm late because my husband distracted me with blueberry muffins, which is not his fault. It's mine because I knew what time it was, and I still ate one, and then I enjoyed it, and then I looked down at my watch and went, "Oh, I need to go and do this." So, but Sunday is my day to sleep in and kind of take the morning a little more slowly. I don't do that any other day of the week. It's like every Saturday is my day of rest, but I still get up early and go for a run, and then I rest for the rest of the day. But Sunday is my day to turn the alarm off. And I actually forgot to do that and woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and was like, all right. So I went and turned my alarm off because it hadn't gone off yet. It was set for 6:30, and used the restroom and went back to bed and woke up with a cat laying across my bladder at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because, so I'm enjoying the warmth of the cat, but then he's also pressing on my bladder, and my bladder's going, "You really ought to get up." So it's life with cats. That is how it is. They are a joy, and they're little nuisances at the same time. There's one of them sitting in the room with me. But I don't know if she will make an appearance or not. As I like to call them, cameos. All right. It is March 7th. We're in the month of faith, and our title is Individualization. Let's see if I can get the Z in there. Okay. March 7th, Individualization. Everything in the universe is a unique individualization or expression of the one thing that is the cause of all things. No two blades of grass are alike, no two grains of sand. No two thumbprints, no two anything are alike, and nothing ever exactly reproduces any other thing. This means that the one ultimate cause is pressing against every individualization, flowing through it or him or her, or that every event in the finite has an infinite possibility behind it. We have to link all of this with our everyday actions because we cannot live by theories alone. They must be brought down to earth and applied to our daily life. But it is wonderful to realize that we do not have to imitate. We do not have to compete. All we have to do is be ourselves and realize that the one self, the universal being, expressing itself in us in a unique way is absolute and available. This is the secret that every person has with life and with God, that God shall be to each one of us what we are to God. Today, I practice being myself. I think simply and directly from the center of my own being, which is one with the living spirit. I realize that all the good there is, all the presence there is, all the power there is immediately available and responsive to my acceptance. I enter into the faith of believing, the joy of knowing, and the act of living that proclaim the one presence and power in all things. This presence, warm, personal, and colorful, responds to me. It is within, around, and through me, and it embraces all things. Today, I accept my partnership with the infinite. And our Bible quote is, "If ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, nothing shall be impossible unto you." Matthew 17:20. All right. I have many thoughts, but I'm probably going to have to work through my thoughts as I work back through that thing, because now they're all jumbled up. But let's start with the last thing that I read, Because in ministerial school, everybody talks about the mustard seed. When I went to ministerial school, I wasn't as familiar with the mustard seed um, until I got to ministerial school, and then like everybody talks about it. Like students talk about it, teachers talk about it. It's like this great spiritual lesson, and everybody has a different interpretation. But the one that I liked the best is when you look at the mustard seed. It's itty bitty. I mean, it is tiny, tiny. It's this tiny little black thing. And when you plant it, it turns into this enormous plant. Like, it gets to like 4 feet high and 4 feet wide. It's huge, which I've never seen a mustard plant, but you know, I like mustard. But that's one of the things that struck me is like, let's put the mustard seed, because the seed is so little bitty and it has so much potential to turn into this enormous plant. So that was one of the things that resonated with me, is that infinite possibility behind us. We are mustard seeds. We can be tiny little things and then bloom into these amazingly, big possibilities. And that's faith, and that's trust. And putting our feet underneath us. Okay, so individualization. Of course, artists would use a word and then use it a lot. Pick a word and use it a lot. That isn't the easiest to say quickly. I have multiple accents, and occasionally, if I'm really struggling with a word, I'll flip to a different accent, because the accent will slow me down and it will make me pronounce things better. So I'm probably not going to do that today, though. Okay, so everything in the universe is a unique individualization or expression of the one thing, and he capitalizes O and T, that is the cause, capital C, of all things. Everything in the universe is an expression of the one thing. Everything. No two blades of grass are alike, no two grains of sand, no two thumbprints. Have you ever looked at highly magnifying grains of sand? If you haven't, Google it. Google a high magnification of grains of sand. It's amazing. What we see, and then when you magnify it, they're gorgeous. And they come in all of these shapes and sizes and colors, where we see this one uniform, tan. When you magnify grains of sand, it's like a whole new world. So please Google it. It's gorgeous. Okay, no two thumbprints. No two of anything are alike. Nothing is ever exactly reproduces in any other thing. Twins. I've done a little reading about twins. I have a degree in anthropology. So I've done a little bit of reading about twins. And even twins, their fingerprints aren't the same. Their DNA is mostly, and there are subtle differences. So even when they are clones, because effectively that's what a twin is a clone, there's still subtle differences. Subtle differences. No two of anything are alike, and nothing ever exactly reproduces any other thing. This means that the one ultimate cause is pressing against every individualization, flowing through it or him or her. So, meaning every living thing, not just us. Let's get our ego out of the way. And that every event in the finite has an infinite possibility behind it. An infinite possibility. If you got up every morning and thought, I have infinite possibility, how would that change your world? How would that change your day? Now, I admit, it could be terrifying. It could be. But it doesn't have to be. Because you wake up and you think, there's infinite possibility today. What joy am I going to experience today? and go with that. I like the idea of the infinite possibility behind it. We have to link all of this with our everyday actions because we cannot live by theories alone. Like I said, my undergraduate is anthropology. We have to test those theories. It's like we can read this stuff all day long, but if we don't go out and test the theories, what's the point? What is the point? So, we cannot live by theories alone. We got to get out there. We got to test it. And that's why we use the scientific method. The whole point of science of mind is we have this theory and we want to test it. And we want to test it every day. And because it is a scientific theory, we're going to test it in the same manner. And we're going to know it works when we get consistent results. And when we're not getting consistent results, we go back and we look at our process, our experimental process. So, okay, they must be brought down to earth and applied to our daily life. But it is wonderful to realize that we do not have to imitate. We do not have to compete. All we have to do is be ourselves and realize that the one self, the universal being, expressing itself in us in a unique way is absolute and available. I believe it's an Oscar Wilde quote. Be yourself, everybody else is taken. Be yourself, everybody else is taken. And then you can follow that up with the quote of, the mind that thought up the stars and the mountains thought that it needed you too. Be yourself, everybody else is taken. The universe needed you to have the experiences that you're having, to do the creating that you're doing, to be you. Not to be anybody else. You don't have to imitate or compete. You get to be you. You get to be you. And that is a gift. All right. This is the secret that every person has with life and with God, that God shall be to each one of us what we are to God. And that can be interesting. That God shall be to each one of us what we are to God. So what are we being to God? Are we being authentic? Are we being creative? Are we embodying the qualities of God, the creativity, the unity, the harmony? Are we doing that? Because as we're doing that, God is going to do that to us. And if we are not embodying the qualities of God, God is not going to embody the qualities of God to us. That's not possible. But if we're outside of that embodiment, then things don't work quite the way that they could. It's like the law works one way. And when we work the way of the law, then everything flows smoothly and easily. And when we come sideways at the law kind of goes, I don't know how to do this. This doesn't, I'm not sure what you want here. And so the law is kind of like, the law is trying. So I think that's what he means here. The God shall be to each of us what we are to God. If we are authentic with God, then God is going to be authentic with us. If we are not authentic with God, God is still going to be authentic with us. But God's going to be like, I see what you're asking here for, but you're coming up against the law in a way that the law cannot give you what you're asking for. So God's going, help me here. Help me here. You know how to do this. Be you. And we got this. When you try and be anybody else, God's like, embody the qualities of God, and it will flow easily and gently and smoothly. And when you don't, God's still trying. Problem is, you're not. So be you. Everybody else is taken. Oscar Wilde. So, today, I practice being myself. What does that mean? Myself. Look within you and see that wonderful, amazing being that you are. Frankly, I'm a little goofy. If you've been watching these for any amount of time, you know that. That's who I am. Am I always goofy? No, because sometimes situations don't, demand that I not be. I'm perfectly capable of being serious when the situation demands. But that's part of the authentic me, is that little goofiness. And I embrace that. And if people don't know what to do with it, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. It is theirs. But I'm also a wild cacophony of, traits and qualities and who I am. And I get to be who I am in every situation. And the way that I know that I'm being who I am is how I feel. If it feels good, then I'm probably doing it right. And if I feel a little, the word of the day yesterday was icky. If I feel a little icky, then I'm probably not being me. I'm probably not being my authentic self. Yes, that's Rita purring. That little sound you hear. She's sitting just below the camera. And that's, it really is. It really is about checking in with your feelings in a situation. It really is about knowing yourself and knowing your feelings and knowing in a situation, hey, is this a situation where I can be a little goofy and lighten things up? Or is this a situation where I need to be kind, compassionate, and a little serious? And your feelings generally will not lead you wrong once you get to know who you are. Okay. Let's see. I think simply and directly from the center of my own being. The center of my own being. That's what what Jesse would call the place where nothing has ever been wrong. What I like to call that place where you meet the unfiltered God. Where you are the most you. Away from the material noise. Away from the confusion of the mortal coil. Because we all run into that. I mean, flip on the TV for 15 minutes, and as a woman, you get all these mixed messages of who you are, and you're like, yeah, none of that is true. All right, Rita. All right, I think simply and directly from the center of my being, which is one with the living spirit. I realize that all the good there is, all the presence there is, all the power there is immediately available and responsive to my acceptance. It's all there. I have to be willing to accept it. And that's the kicker. That's where where the wheels can come off. It's like, it's there. It's ready. Are you? And if you're not, what do you need to do to get ready? And part of it is accepting yourself for who you are, which is a beloved child of God. Do not let anybody tell you any different. I enter into the faith of believing, the joy of knowing, and the act of living that proclaim the one presence and power in all things. And part of our mission is to live the life of God. Now, if you were raised Catholic like me, you know a whole lot of those saints were tortured. That's not the life we're called to. That is not the life we are called to. We are called to live our life fully with joy, to embody the qualities of God, the peace, the joy, the harmony. And if there are too many qualities, then pick one. My friend, Reverend Kathy, she and I went to school together. She calls herself the Queen of Peace. the quality of God she has chosen to live her life for is peace. Mine's silliness. Which really in the world looks like joy. It looks like happiness. That's the quality that I seek to embody the most. And creativity, because I get to be creative in my silliness. We're called to live the life of God. And that's the life that you're living now. Are you making the most of it? Because you have the power and the presence behind you. You have infinite possibility behind you to live that life of God. This presence, warm, personal, and colorful, responds to me. It responds to you. And it responds the most easily when you come in its nature. It's going to try even if you're not coming in its nature. It's going to try and respond to you. It's just going to respond the fastest, the easiest when you come to it in its nature. Just remember the qualities of God. Within, it is within, around, and through me, and it embraces all things. Today, I accept my partnership with the infinite. If ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, nothing shall be impossible to you. All right, Matthew. Okay, so our mission today, should we choose to accept it? Oof. Our mission today, should we choose to accept it? There's another quote by Ernest about, and it just popped right out of my head. Multiplicity, not uniformity in the one. We are individualized centers of God. We live the life of God. And so our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to practice being ourselves. To practice being ourselves. And like I said, pick the quality of God that you resonate with the most. And practice that. And practice that. And as you're practicing that, because, practice, please do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself today and every day, because you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased. Always. Always. And there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do. You cannot ever take away the love of God. There's nothing that you can do that will take that away. The only thing that we can do is when we work in the nature of Spirit and the law, then Spirit responds to us easily. When we work against the nature of law, Spirit still responds to us. It's just having a harder time. So consider that if you're not getting the treatments, if they're not quite working the way, then go back and look at the nature of God and see if you can relanguage or reapply or change the direction of your feet. Change the direction of your feet. And occasionally, it's not a bad idea to ask for outside eyes. Because sometimes we get all the way through a project and there's just that one little thing, but we've looked at it so many times that we can't see the flaw anymore. And so it takes somebody who is not as invested in it as us to see it. And there are practitioners and there are ministers, and more importantly, there are just people that love you. They don't have to be practitioners. They don't have to be ministers. They just have to care. And they can see that one little thing. It's like, hey, they can see that one little grain of sand that's gumming up the works. So if at any point you are struggling, please reach out to somebody that cares about you and say, hey, this isn't working. Help me. There's no shame in that. No shame. And that can be a loving, kind, and compassionate thing that you do for yourself, to reach out to somebody else and say, I'm struggling here. Help me. All right. I am... Ooh, there are blueberry muffins calling my name. I encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body today, whatever that looks like. The sun is shining beautifully right now. You might consider getting 5 or 10 minutes of sun directly on your face. It does reset your chemistry and helps with that hormone balance, and it can just make for a better day. So, it's one of the things you can do to make for a better day. And then drink plenty of water, all right? And as always, you are a beloved child of God. You are loved. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven coming through your soul to remind you you do live in heaven now. And it does take acceptance, our own, on our part, to see it. And the more we practice that, the more we'll see of it. And remember to reach out to your fellow godlings to say hi. Or to say hey. Because we're all in this together. We're all in this together. But do what you need to do to make it a fantastic day. And be aware that we will be back with you at 11 a.m. right here on Facebook Live to do that service. We have a new theme. I posted it yesterday and I don't remember what it is. Something about a key. I don't know. It's March. We'll see. Whatever it is, Jesse will be amazing, and I know that. So, and Reverend David will be on with you at 5. I'll be back on Facebook Live at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And if you've enjoyed it and want to see it again, I am archiving them to the Reverend Ryan YouTube channel, just so they're easier to find. I sort them into playlists by the month and title them with the day. All right? So, have a wonderful day, beloveds.